guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm really excited because we are starting the first day of our Digital Planning Bootcamp, where we're going to be covering all of the basics for you to get started digital planning, from what devices you need or what tools you need to how the whole thing works. And the bootcamp is packed with a bunch of free goodies for you to try out and get a little taste of how the whole thing works and if it's right for you. So I'm really excited that you're here with me today and to just jump right in and get started. So in today's video, we're going to cover a couple of things. The first thing we're going to be covering is what device or what tools you need to digital plan. And then after that, I'm actually going to walk you through the steps of how you can download the digital planner freebie that is included with the bootcamp, so you can get kind of planning and seeing if it's right for you and, doing something more hands-on. And then after that, I'm going to be just covering some of the basic tools, like how you can add handwriting and how you can move things around so that you can really spend the rest of today kind of getting a feel for how this works and just tinkering around in it. And then tomorrow we'll go a little bit deeper into some of the tools. Okay, so before we jump in, I wanted to go over a little bit about how this bootcamp and the videos in the bootcamp are going to work, because I'm going to be showing you how to use both the iPad as your digital planning device and the Samsung Tab 7 as your planning device. You don't have to have one of these tablets, but you will likely either be on some kind of iPad or an Android device. And depending on which device you're going to be using, you'll want to pay attention to which video you're watching. So in today's video, I'm going to cover both, but in tomorrow's lesson, you're going to get two different videos, one for the Android devices and one for Apple devices, so that you can only have to listen to the information that is pertinent to what device you choose. But today, because we're going to be covering the different options as far as digital planning devices, we're just going to have the one video. So let's just go ahead and jump right in and start talking about the difference between these two devices. Right here I have my Apple. It's the 12.9 version of the Apple Pro. This is what I primarily use myself, mostly because I use primarily Apple products. I'm not going to say that one is necessarily better than the other as far as tablets go for digital planning. It's really a personal choice, and I would say pick the tablet that fits your needs and your budget better. So the first biggest difference between these two, so this is the Samsung Tab S7 and this is the 12.4. You can see width-wise they are about the same. Only difference is that the iPad is a little bit bigger on this way, I guess. So they're both about the same width. They honestly feel about the same as far as heaviness, and they both have styluses. The biggest difference, in my opinion, between the Tab 7 and the Apple iPad Pro for digital planning is going to be price point. The iPad Pro is significantly more expensive, especially because you have to purchase the stylus separately, and the stylus alone is a couple $100s. So if you're looking for something more affordable that's going to get you a very similar experience, you might want to consider the Samsung tablet. The S7 series, at least, they have a couple different sizes and things like that that vary in price, but they come with the stylus, and honestly the stylus is pretty great. I haven't had any problems with it. It's a lot lighter than the iPad pencil or the Apple Pencil, but as far as writing experience goes, it's just as good. I actually enjoy writing with this more than my Apple Pencil, largely because this when you write on the iPad, it feels really slippery. It feels kind of like glass. When you write on the tablet, the Android instead, or the Samsung, it feels much more like much closer to regular writing. You have a little bit of grit with the stylus, and it makes it a little bit easier to write with. The other thing you're going to want to consider when you're deciding which device you want to use is what app you want to use, because not all apps are created on both devices. So Goodnotes is my favorite digital planning app, and it is what I use. The reason is because it has all of the features that are I would say 98% of the features I could ever want to use in digital planning, and it's very functional. It syncs across my different devices, which, like I said earlier, I have primarily Apple devices. So I can get it on my phone, I can get it on my computer, and I can sync them all up. And that is a great feature of Goodnotes. In addition to that, I use other apps sometimes. Two noteworthy apps that you cannot get on the Android devices that you can get on Apple are Procreate, which is an app for creating art on your iPad. So some people like to create their own stickers or their own lettering, and they use Procreate to do that. That is only an iPad app. The other one is Zinnia, and Zinnia is another digital planning app that is getting more and more popular that you can only get on the iPad. So if you're interested in any of those three apps, and using those is a big part of why you want a digital plan or how you want a digital plan, you're definitely gonna want to use some kind of Apple product. If you're not interested in those, there are alternatives to those in the Samsung version, or in the Samsung tablet. You have my favorite app for Android devices is called Noteshelf. And Noteshelf does almost everything Goodnotes does, and a few things honestly better. So it's really kind of a wash, in my opinion, between what app is better. This is Noteshelf, and I'll show you Goodnotes real quick. We will kind of go through that in the course over the next couple days. If you watch both versions of the videos, you will see kind of some of the differences between the two apps. But I will say the biggest one, in my opinion, is that Goodnotes allows you to stretch images, and I will show you what I mean by that. Let's see. I'm going to go into one of my planners, or my planner here. That's not what I'm looking for. Go to a week that I have planned. I think one of these I have planned, I'm not sure. Okay, so when you're in the app, this is just a weekly layout I've already created for a couple weeks ago. This is the one thing Goodnotes does allow you to do that Noteshelf doesn't allow you to do, that is pertinent to digital planning. And what that is, that you can stretch images. So when you're in this, you can actually go like this and stretch the image to change its proportions. This is really helpful when you're working with like boxes. Like, I want this box to be like this. You can do that. Where in Noteshelf, the proportions have to stay the same, meaning it only allows you to go like this. You cannot change the height width ratio, if that makes sense. And I find that a little bit frustrating, because it's really nice to be able to create boxes of custom size boxes in Goodnotes. So that is the main thing that Goodnotes allows you to do that Noteshelf does not allow you to do. So the one thing that Noteshelf, on the other hand, allows you to do that Goodnotes does not allow you to do is lock images. And locking images becomes really important, especially when you're working in layers or with templates, because it's really nice to make it so when you place a template down, it can no longer move. And we'll talk a little bit more about the details of what this means on either day 3 or day 4 of this boot camp, when we start talking about templates. But basically what it means is, if I were to put in an image here, and I'm just going to go to their media library, I can actually tap on this image and lock it, which means now I cannot move it. And that is super convenient, because then you can write on top of it without, now if, let's say, I'll show you, I'll write on top of it. I'm gonna write hello. Now I can move this hello around without moving around the image. And that is very, very convenient. So I wish both apps would somehow figure out a way to copy each other in those, but those are the two biggest differences for digital planning, aside from just kind of user experience. But you do kind of get used to both apps and how to work them over time. So don't be discouraged if you find one kind of frustrating in the beginning, especially Goodnotes, because Goodnotes has a lot of features and a lot of options. it can be a little bit overwhelming at first, but trust me, you do get used to it and it becomes kind of second nature. So anyways, those are the two apps and the two devices that I personally recommend for digital planning, and what I use. And we will go over some of the differences as we go along in the tutorials. So the three main things that you're going to want to have to start digital planning is a device that you wanted to plan on, which again, can be an Apple product, an Android product, whatever you want, but you will most likely want to be using a stylus. So I would recommend getting a device you can use a stylus with. And there are a lot on the market, like I said before, but the two top of the line or best ones that I think are out there are these two, which is the iPad Pro and the Samsung Tab 7. The Samsung Tab 7 comes with the stylus. The Apple, you have to purchase the stylus separately, but they both do essentially the same thing. The second thing that you're going to want to have is a digital planning app, PDF reading app. There are others on the market that I'm not going to talk about in this boot camp that you can look at if you're interested. Two that are very, very popular are Zodo, which is spelled Xodo, and Notability. Those are also very popular digital planning apps that you're welcome to look at that I think are available on both devices, but I'm not sure. So there's a couple different options on the market. You're not stuck with just these two. These are just the two that I personally use and I talk about on my channel and I stand behind. So, and then the third thing is that you're going to want to make sure you have a digital planner. So there's lots of digital planners on the market, but the good news for you is that I have included a free version of our 2020 digital planner in this boot camp. So I'm going to show you how you can download that and the basics of how it works in this video tutorial. So this is where the video is going to kind of split off. The first thing I'm going to do is walk you through how to download the digital planner and how to use the basic tools in Goodnotes first. And then after that, I am going to walk you through how to download the planner into Noteshelf and how to use the basic tools of Noteshelf second. So if you're planning on using an Android device and you're more curious about the Noteshelf version, you can just go ahead and use the little chapter markers down below to jump ahead to where the Android version of this video is going to start. So you don't have to watch this whole entire iPad version if it doesn't pertain to you. If you're still on the fence between if you want an iPad or Samsung or some kind of Android device, then I would recommend watching both because we are going to be talking a lot about the differences in the app as we go through it because there are some differences and it's useful to know, especially if you're deciding what you want to get. So let's jump in then, shall we? So when you signed up for the boot camp, you would have gotten an email, which is most likely how you found this video. The email, there down kind of a little bit lower under the video, you will find a link or a button that you can click on that will take you to this page right here. You're going to go ahead and click on the Mini Lifestyle Planner by Ink and Pine. It's going to pull up a little bit of a preview of the planner and you will need to click on this download button here up in the left-hand corner. It's not working. Okay, and then it's going to pull up this little box. You're going to click download again. You can close out of that if that pops up on yours. And then you can see your planner's downloads right here. So after it's done downloading, you can click on this little icon up here with the little arrow that points down and then click on Mini Lifestyle Planner and this will pull it up here. And this is just a previewer on the iPad. You'll want to click the share button, which looks like a box with an arrow in it. And then you're going to scroll down here to Goodnotes. This is assuming you already have Goodnotes installed. If you haven't installed Goodnotes, then you need to go ahead and install that before you try to download your planner. And that's not something I'm going to talk about in this video, so hopefully you've already done that. You're going to get this little box that pops up. You're going to click import as new document. If you have a document already open, you'll also have the option to import into that document and you don't want to click on that. You want to make sure you're clicking on import as new document. And then now your planner is inside Goodnotes and you can swipe like this to get to the different pages in the planner. So the first thing you're going to see is just the cover. The reason we include a cover is because if you go back to your dashboard, it looks nice and organized inside your main document screen of Goodnotes. and you can click on it and then scroll over to get to the first page of the planner. So now that we have the planner inside Goodnotes, I wanted to show you some of the basic tools that you will want to know how to use to navigate and get around in your planner and add things like handwriting. So first thing I want to show you is how to turn off and on the links in the planner. So the way Goodnotes works with links is, or buttons inside your planner, if you want to call them that, is you have to turn them on or off. Most apps you're going to use for digital planning will have a reading mode and a editing mode. The reading mode will turn on the buttons and the links inside the planner itself or inside the document, and editing mode will turn them off and turn on all your tools. So Goodnotes is just like that. They have an editing and a reading mode. If you want all the buttons like the tabs on the side of the planner to work, you need to be in reading mode. Right now, you can tell I'm in editing mode because you can see all this toolbar right here. So this little area right here is your Goodnotes toolbar. This is where you're going to find all the tools that you can use to digitally plan. To turn off the toolbar and to go into reading mode, you're going to click this little pen with a slash in it that's up here in the corner. This turns on reading mode, and this will turn on your links. Another term people use for links is hyperlinks. So if you see that when you're looking around, that's what they're referring to. They're referring to buttons inside their planner or tabs, anything where you can click on it and go to different pages inside the planner itself. So they're very, very convenient. They make getting around your planner really quick and easy, because it would take a lot, especially in some of the larger planners that have 1,000 pages. If you had to just scroll through to find one, you'd be miserable. So the tabs become very, very important. So that's how you make them work or turn them on. To turn them back off and to turn on editing mode, you're going to push that same button, but now it looks like a little pen with a swirly tool or a swirl around it. Push that and that will bring back up your toolbar. It will also turn this from white to blue, which is another indication that you're in editing mode inside Goodnotes. And then you'll have this toolbar here that you can select and change. So that's how you get around. Okay, so then this planner has a bunch of different links inside it to make getting around the planner really easy. So when you're on the monthly page, you'll find these daily numbers up here. These all link to the daily pages. So you can easily jump back and forth between the different pages inside the planner. You also have your weekly pages down here. So these little color tabs will take you to that week. So even though it is an undated planner, you can still really quickly jump around to the different layouts that are included inside the planner. You also have your weekly layouts here. Under this tab, all 5 weeks are in here, and you can see they're also there's also navigation to the daily and weekly pages down here at the bottom, and it'll show you which one you're on. It just highlights it. And then if you go into daily pages, it will take you to the first page, and then to get to the other dailies, you can click on these here. So you can easily jump around inside the planner. You also have your tab, your blank tab that you can use to add inserts and customize your planner or use as a notebook. On the index page, you have a blank box here to kind of indicate whatever you decide to put in there. And these are all clickable as well. So you can jump around that way. And same with these buttons over here on the side. And lastly, you have your template library. This little freebie planner comes with 4 templates, so you can kind of jump into the world of templates and customization and get your feet wet as far as kind of the different options that are available. The coolest part about the 2020 planners is that they come with over 130 different templates to use to kind of make your planner your own and to get the most out of it. So this is kind of just a little sneak peek of those. And you have some lined note pages, you have a to-do list, and you have another weekly layout page if you want to experiment with a different layout than what's included in the planner. And we're going to discuss templates and how to use templates and inserts on either day 3 or day 4. So look out for that in upcoming days of this boot camp. And then one last thing I wanted to show you is that if you are You can also zoom up in your planner on Goodnotes by just pinching, kind of like on your phone if you're zooming up on a picture. You can do the same thing with this, and then you can write bigger so you can get really detailed with what you put inside there. So now that we've kind of covered how to get around inside your planner and how the whole thing kind of works, I want to cover a couple just basic tools inside Goodnotes, so you can kind of play around a little bit tonight before we go into more details, or before we go into the rest of the tools more in detail tomorrow. So the first tool I want to cover is actually the first tool on the toolbar. So it's the pen tool. This will probably be one of the tools you use the most, since this is how you're going to write inside your planner. So I want to show you how it works and a couple different options you have with the tools. So when you click on the tool, it will highlight which tool you're using. So if I click on these different tools, you can see they kind of turn blue and you can see which one is active. The pen tool, if you click on it again, will pull up these options here, and you can actually adjust the way or the type of pen that you have. So Goodnotes comes with 3 different types of pen. There's the fountain pen, there's the ballpoint pen, and the brush pen. The ballpoint pen is, regardless of how much pressure you put down, it's going to have the same thickness in its line. The fountain pen has a slight variation in the thickness depending on how hard you push. So I can get it a little thicker if I push harder. And the brush point pen is just a more exaggerated version of that. So you can get a pretty thick line, and you can adjust, you can kind of play around with these settings and adjust them for what you want. Another thing, I've got just all these dots on the page. You'll have some options over here that will change depending on the tool you have pulled up. So with the pen tool, you have these options here. You'll have 3 different color boxes, and these are kind of like, you can set 3 different colors, so you can jump back and forth between different colors really quickly inside as you're writing. To change these, you'll just click on it again and it will pull up these presets. I have these presets already installed. To add a preset, you can go over to custom. You can just pick a color. You don't have to add it as a preset. You can just pick a color and start coloring with it or writing with it. You can put in a hex code if you have one. All of our sticker kits come with the hex codes so that you can have matching handwriting and highlighter colors if you want, or text. So look for those if you're using our sticker kits, or you can select from the color wheel as well. And then if you want to add it as a saved preset so it shows up here, then you'll just click this little blue plus bar here, or this little blue plus circle. And then to edit the presets and delete them, you click on this edit button over here. So you can set all 3 of these individually and jump back and forth as you're writing. And then same thing over here with these 3 lines. This is your thickness of your pen, so you can have different thicknesses saved. And to change it, you just click on it and you drag this bar, and this will show you how thick the pen is, or change how thick the pen is, and you can set these however you want, but you have 3 kind of quick saved versions in this, and Goodnotes will save these, so the next time you pull it up, even if you go into a different planner, it will pull up whatever you had those set to last. So then I want to show you a quick thing that you can do with the pen tool that not a lot of people know. That's just kind of a quick tip. If you want to create a perfect box or shape of it, basic shape of any kind, you can draw the shape. So here's my square or rectangle. And if you keep your pen tool down, it will create a perfect rectangle, and you can drag it to readjust the size. And you can also do this with like circles, and you can create these shapes really easily by doing that. Make sure if it's not working for you, you want to make sure this draw and hold toggle inside the pen tool is turned on. As long as that's on, you should be able to create shapes very quickly and easily there. The next tool I want to show you is the highlighter tool. It works just like the pen tool in that you have your 3 colors over here and your 3 sizes over here. And the highlighter is kind of like a semi-transparent thicker pen that you can use. This tool has a couple cool unique features. One being if you draw and then you draw again, you can see it will create a even darker line over that. Another thing is if you click on it, you can select draw in a straight line. I leave mine on because I like this feature. You can turn it off if you don't like it, but what that allows you to do is when you create a line, it will automatically straighten it out for you, which I find very convenient. You can also create the same thing with the boxes and circles with your highlighter tool. So the next tool I wanted to show you in today's tutorial is the eraser tool, since that will probably be the next tool that you end up looking for. So the eraser tool, you have 3 different sizes of eraser you can select between, but it's essentially the same thing, or it's essentially just a basic eraser. You can go through and erase everything you put down. It will only erase the pen and the highlighter tool. It will not erase images or text. So just keep that in mind. The last tool I want to show you in today's tutorial, we are going to cover the rest of the tools tomorrow, but the last tool I want to show you today is the lasso tool, because that's going to be how you move things around, and you're likely going to want to know how to do that. So I'm going to add a picture really quick, just one that I have kind of already saved. This is one of our Inky Bears from our shop, so I can show you how the lasso tool works. So once you have something on your page, be it highlighter or text, whatever, you can use the lasso tool to move or manipulate it. To do that, you'll just draw a circle with the lasso tool on. As long as the image or whatever you're trying to grab is partially inside the circle, you will select it. So you don't need to take the time to draw this really perfect shape around whatever you're trying to grab like that. You really can just have the tiniest, my circles are usually really small. You can have the tiniest little circle. As long as some part of it is inside that circle, it will select it, and you can move it around by just tapping inside the circle you drew and dragging it around the page. If you tap quickly inside the circle, so instead of tapping and dragging, I'm just tapping one time, you'll get a little bar that will pop up that has some additional options like deleting, cutting, copying, resizing, taking a screenshot, that allow you to do some extra things like resizing. If you click on it, it will pull up this little box that you can use to change the size of whatever you're selecting, and it works on handwriting, text, anything. You can grab it and move it around, or you can grab it and delete it instead of using the eraser tool. One other cool thing you can do with the lasso is you can change the color of your highlighter or your text by selecting it and then clicking color. And then see, I can select from any of my preset colors, or I can go in and select a custom color. So that is how the lasso tool works, and a couple ways that you can go about using that to get started with your digital planner. So that is it for the Goodnotes version of this tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to my Samsung tablet and walk you through the exact same things inside the Noteshelf app. So if you are using Goodnotes, then you don't necessarily need to watch this part, or if you're looking forward to seeing how it compares to the Noteshelf app, let me go ahead and just switch over. Okay, so now that I have grabbed my Samsung tablet, I'm going to show you how you can import the planner into Noteshelf from there. I don't know why this process is a little bit weird, but it is going to be a little bit different. So follow along with me here if you're trying to do it. So what I found is if you click on the planner like you do for Goodnotes, it won't download. It'll download a version that you'll get an error when you try to import it into Noteshelf. I don't know why. So this is how you'll do it. You'll actually click download from this page, which is the page that pulls up from the link. And then you're going to click download again, and it's going to download a zipped file. When it's done, you can click open file, or you can go into your folders, which you can go in here. And then you're going to see a folder that looks like this. Just unclick this little folder and then look for this one that says Mini Lifestyle Planner by Ink and Pine. And then you're going to click extract. And then you'll select the planner itself. And it will
I have mine to automatically set to open up in Noteshelf without asking me. But if you don't have that set up, it will ask you which app you want to open it in. If as long as Noteshelf is already installed, which I'm assuming you've gone through and installed it from the App Store, then you'll have Noteshelf there as an option, and then you can just click that and it will import it in, just like with Goodnotes. So you can see that now my planner is here and you have the same cover like you do with Goodnotes. So if you scroll over to the side, then you're going to actually get to see the planner itself, and everything is imported. So the next thing I want to show you how to do is just kind of get around the planner and use the buttons. So like I was saying when we went through the Goodnotes version of this video, most digital planning apps on the market are going to have a reading mode and an editing mode, and the same thing applies for Noteshelf. So when you're in reading mode, all of the buttons and the links will work and you can jump around your planner really easily, but you cannot edit the pages. When you're in the editing mode, then the buttons no longer work, but you can get to your tools and you can add things. And the same thing goes for Noteshelf. Right now I am in editing mode. You can see that my pen is highlighted and the toolbar is active up here. And then you'll have this little button right here that has like a cross through it. This is the button that turns on and off the editing mode or toggles between editing and reading mode. So to turn on reading mode, I'm going to click that, and now my buttons on the side, my little tabs and everything will work. So I can click on these and I can navigate around my planner really easily. The little mini planner has a bunch of links inside it. I tried to make it as easy as possible for you to use. So let me go ahead and show you how you can get around. On the index page, all of these are clickable, so you can click on these little buttons here and jump around to different sections of the planner, and as well as the tabs on the side. You have a blank tab here that lines up with this 01 tab on the side, blank box. This is so you can label whatever you're going to put in here, because this is a blank section for you to add your own inserts and templates, which we're going to cover more on that on day 3 or 4. I can't remember which day it is. Or you can use it as a note book, whatever works for you. The idea is just so you can kind of get an idea of what you like about digital planning and how you're going to use it before you go out and actually purchase something. If you jump back to the monthly page, you'll have all these days up here. This is how you can select or jump to the different days inside the planner, as well as these little colorful bars that line up with the weeks will take you to that coordinating, I went to the wrong tab, week inside the planner. When you're on the weekly pages, which this tab will take you to the first week, you can see which week is highlighted down here, and you can use these to jump around, as well as with the daily pages, these are down here and you can see which one you're on based on which one is highlighted. So that is how you can jump around the planner. And you also have templates right here. So we included some just sample templates for you to kind of get your feet wet with. One of the best things about our 2022 planner is that it comes with over 130 different templates, so you can really customize the planner to fit your individual needs, and find templates for whatever it is you're looking to track or keep track of. But we've included 4 of them here for you to kind of get a taste of how they work, and so I can show that to you in the other tutorials. So you get a blank page, you get the to-do list, you get a lined notes page, and a different layout for your weekly pages if you want to experiment with something different. And these actually are clickable too, so when you're looking for the template, you can click on the image here to get to it. Okay, so that is how you move around and jump around inside the planner. And then the last thing I want to show you is that you can actually zoom in and out by pinching your fingers. So this will take you in and out of the planner. So if you're planning and you want to get a closer view or get more detailed, you can actually zoom up like that. And Goodnotes allows you to actually lock the zoom so that as I can no longer do this, and if you find that easier as you're moving around the page, you can do that by doing that. And as soon as you try to like zoom in and out again, you'll see the lock bar and you can unlock it and change the zoom. Okay, so that is how you navigate and get around your planner. The next thing I want to talk about is just the basic tools. So we're going to go over just a couple of the most basic tools, and then we'll go more into detail on the rest of the tools in tomorrow's videos. So the first tool I want to show you is the pen tool, which is right here. When it's selected, it kind of fills in the color there with whatever color you have selected. If you click on it again, you'll get all these options that pull up. This is the size bar here, so you can change the size of your pen here, and then you have 3 different pen type options. So you have kind of a felt tip marker, looks like this. You have, I'm not even sure what that is, like an old-fashioned kind of looking pen, and then this one, which is like a Sharpie. And each one has their own little thing. You can actually favorite different pen settings by clicking on this little heart here, and it will show up over in this bar here. So if you have a type of setting or a type of pen you always like to use, you can save it as a favorite. This is a little different from Goodnotes. If you were watching the Goodnotes version, Goodnotes allows you to save like 3 basically favorites or templates at a time. Noteshelf will actually let you save. I've never maxed out how many you can save. I'm not sure if it will ever like stop you from saving them. But essentially, you can save a ton of different pen styles to quickly refer back to. And then you can select your color down here, and you can click edit to change which colors show up in that bar and add colors using this bar or your hex code here. So that is the pen tool, and that is essentially how that works. If you're comparing apps, because part of this is I want you to be able to compare what you're looking for. If you're on Goodnotes, you can draw a shape. You can draw a shape by simply drawing the box and holding it down, and it will automatically create a shape. With Noteshelf, it's not quite the same. To create a shape, you need to turn on the shape tool right here, or the shape setting, with your pen tool still selected. And then when you draw a shape and you let go, it will automatically convert it into the closest looking shape. I mean, so as long as you're kind of close to the shape, you should be good and get a fairly simple shape. But you're not going to be able, one of the things I like about Goodnotes is that you can't, you can drag the size with it as well. With this, you're going to have to use the lasso tool if you want to go in and actually change the size after. The next tool I want to show you is the highlighter tool. You have the same settings again, just like with the pen. You have your favorite button right here, so you can save favorites. You have 2 different types of highlighters. So one is like a straight, it doesn't matter how much pressure you put or how you do it, it's going to have the same thickness. This one is like has a thicker edge to it. So those are the 2 different highlighter options. Again, you have thicknesses and you have colors down here, and you can add colors by clicking on edit. And that's it. One thing I wanted to show you is you still have the option with the shapes to draw shapes with your highlighter. And also this will straighten out your lines as well if you have the shape tool on. So that's how you would create straight lines in Noteshelf. So a lot of the same features, just a different way of going about getting to them. Okay, so the next tool that I want to show you is the eraser tool. Okay, so you have 3 different size options here, and then you have the clear page, which will get rid of everything on the page. It won't get rid of the digital planner itself, so all of the stuff that was already on here will stay on there. It will just get rid of anything that you added after you imported the planner in itself. You have a couple different options here that you can choose whether or not you want to have on, like auto select the previous tool. So as soon as you lift up, it will jump back to whatever you were working with before, pen tool, highlighter tool, whatever. You can change it to erase highlighter only, or erase entire stroke. So with entire stroke on, when you cover it, you can see that the entire stroke is highlighted, and that will be erased. Or if when it's off, you will just be erasing portions of whatever it is that you are erasing. So again, with the eraser tool, just like in Goodnotes, the eraser tool is not going to erase text or images. So it's only going to erase highlighter and pen tool things. So that covers the first 3 tools here. The last tool I want to cover in today's tutorial is the lasso tool, which is, it looks like this dotted box. This is going to be the tool that you use to select things and move things around inside the planner once you create them. So The way this works is you'll draw a circle around whatever you're trying to select. As long as any part of whatever you're trying to grab is inside the circle, it will select it. So you don't have to take the time to like perfectly draw around this shape to select it. You can just draw as long as a corner of it inside the circle. And then this little bar will pop up that has all your options. You can take a screenshot, you can delete it, copy it, resize it. You can change the color to the different colors inside your presets. And if you want the bar to pop back up after you do something like change the color, you just click inside the circle again. With Noteshelf, you have a couple options that you don't have in Goodnotes. Here you have bring to front and send to back. So when you're working with layers, if you put something down in Goodnotes, you will have to put it down in the order you want it to show up. So the bottom piece goes first, then the next one, just like you would if you were like scrapbooking. With Noteshelf, you can actually put them down in any order, and then you can change the layering by using these bring to front or send to back options. And then you can, if you click resize, it will pull up these little red bars, which you can't see great because this is red, but it will pull up these little red bars that you can use to change the size of the box. If you want to select multiple things, it's just the same thing. And then to move things, you'll just draw the circle around it and then just click inside and drag this little circle around on the page. Okay, so that is it as far as today's tutorial. And remember, tomorrow's tutorial will be split into 2 different videos. So you'll have a Goodnotes version and a Noteshelf version. So you don't have to watch both. You can kind of decide which one you want to learn about and how you want to do it. So yeah, and then in tomorrow's video, we're going to cover the rest of the tools and how to work with images and things like that. So I look forward to seeing you guys there. See you tomorrow.